Good morning. Delegates on the dais and all the delegates and dignitaries present in the hall. This is the very first morning session on the international cooperation in space sector towards sustainable development avenues and opportunities. At the outset, I would like to thank CAI and all the organizers for giving the opportunity to put up a few of my points or say opening remarks for this session. As we know, basically the space provides the vantage point to really view the Earth in its totality, beyond the physical barriers and beyond the physical boundaries. And space also has emerged as one of the key players for shaping the economy, catalyzing the innovations, and also providing key solutions for meeting the national imperatives of development and governance. And needless to say, that international cooperation and collaboration in the space sector is inevitable, as space has many dimensions which go beyond the national considerations, and also because it's a very capital intensive sector, and also which takes a lot of lead time for the development, and also needs the expertise and technological prowess in various domains. If we really talk about the sustainable development, which is the prime theme, of course needs adoption of a very holistic approach or holistic paradigm encompassing the social, economic, cultural, environmental dimensions for the development. And many countries, including India, are committed to achieve the goals of the following UN resolution, basically for transforming our world, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And what we need is basically converging solutions for many aspects of the sustainable development, and which is very crucial. And the space technology provides the vital inputs for the natural resource management, ecology, environment, disaster resilience, and also the socio-economic security, the climate change, and so on. If you really look at the inputs for the sustainable development, the key role which is played by the space technology in terms of Earth observation satellites, whether for land, ocean, and atmosphere, to get the observables, basically which provides the inputs for many activities like mapping and monitoring, to impact assessment, to disaster resilience. We also need the satellite communication basically for the last mile connectivity, and the recent introduction of the satellite navigation, which also provides the location-based services, which are also becoming more and more important for the sustainable development implementation activities at the ground level. And all the downstream activities which require the geospatial technology basically to build the thematic repositories, the linking the socio-economy of the various countries, and also focus on the socio-economic security aspects, the livelihood, and environmental protection. So ultimately what we need is basically to create the actionable products and the local specific products, not only integrating the scientific knowledge, but also the traditional wisdom which exists in the many countries, including India, with the traditional people. So this is basically a sort of convergence of the science versus the local wisdom. There are a lot of opportunities and challenges to really build the data analytical tools and also the information system, so that the information and the actionable products reaches the last mile, or you can say the last person who requires it. And also, of course, building the awareness on the sustainable developments and the climate change and its impact. If you really talk about the different challenges, I'm sorry, the title has been kept as dimensions, but it is not dimensions, like almost like challenges what we should do together in the cooperation. The first one what I feel is the data availability for the global community, because this is not a subject which is confined to a nation. Climate change is of relevance to entire global community. So what we require is the more and more free and open data availability, ease of data accessibility, as well as the data sharing policies, including, of course, the thematic or the value-added products. We need to have more bilateral and multilateral mechanisms for sharing the best practices. Like you have the examples of USGS for Landsat, you have the Copernicus, we have now Also the examples of international charter, Sentinel Asia. Of course, India also is coming up with its own paper on the space policy now, very soon. Another aspect is we need to build the joint satellite missions as well as the virtual constellations. Because I told the entire sector is very, very capital intensive, and it takes long lead time for the developing the space technology, particularly the satellites. And also, a single country cannot afford all kind of satellites which are required for basically providing the inputs for system development. Every country may have its own technological expertise in a particular payload domain or in a particular area. And we also need to build the virtual constellations to ensure the long-term data continuity. Like we have the example of the BRICS. We also have, the very many bilateral joint missions like India has done with France on Megatropics and Saral. We are now recently working with the US on NISR, which is going to be the first of its kind mission for the L and S band microwave. And another example is basically to build the joint science campaign to do the proof of concepts and build the science applications together and share the models and algorithms. Another thing is we need to also participate the challenges in the global initiatives, which need not be confined to our region. At least we should contribute to the global initiatives in various themes, at least contribute to the region-specific data and the layers, and also help to build the long-term database on the climate change and induced impacts. And now many countries are forming sort of consortiums and initiatives involving other countries, either region-specific or global. We have example of CEOS, GEO. Recent examples is the Canis has taken a very good initiative on the space for climate observatory, where almost 74 agencies are the signatory, including India. We have the Quad, which is of the 4 countries, India, Japan, Australia, and of course US. We also need to have the capacity building platforms and for exchange of expertise. And so of course as the time is not much, I would just like to share that what we need is basically so far the sustainable development has been largely confined to the space agencies as a public good service, or more or like a government mandate. But we need to open the subject and need to enhance the participation of non-government entities also in carrying out the end-to-end activities and enhance their participation more as a knowledge player or knowledge partner in the entire value chain, starting from building or operating satellites or developing innovative solutions, or including the monetization of the downstream activities. Though many of these activities may not have much of the return of investment, but we still need to see how we can monetize the particularly the downstream activities. We also need to build the conducive foreign industries, maybe through FDI policies to venture in the space domain, and of course providing the incentives to the private sectors and startups in the form of sharing the facilities or domain expertise which largely exist at present with the government entities, and also transfer the developed models to industry for commercial exploitation. So this was my points in a nutshell. Of course, the topic was of sustainable development, as I told, which was more confined to the government sector as of now. But now, since the more private players are coming and many of the industries and the startups are also interested to contribute towards science besides the commercial aspects, I think this is a good opportunity. Thank you very much.